आता इंडियन रिपब्लिक पक्ष विषयाचे सादरीकरण करेल. माननीय पंतप्रधान परम शाह यांना मी विनंती करतो की त्यांनी आपला विषय मांडावा.
Hello everyone, respected chair, judges and all other MPs. I am Param Shah, Prime Minister from the Indian Republic Party, here to discuss the topic psychology of rural India relating to freebies. The first thing that comes to our mind is, what are freebies? Freebies are the things or services given out by the government to improve the quality of life of their citizens. The government doesn't just give out freebies. They give it out so that these freebies benefit the government and the citizens of the country directly or indirectly. Government targets these freebies mostly to the rural people because a huge portion of poverty in India exists in this part. Through these freebies, the government also has been trying to bridge the gap between rural India and urban India. This part of India is also one of the largest vote banks for the leaders in India. Leaders often give out freebies not intended for the growth of the nation, but they are given out so that people would vote for them. This has built the mindset in the people of rural areas that they don't need to work very hard, rather some freebie will come to their rescue as the election approaches. By their effect and usefulness, freebies can be divided into two categories: merit and non-merit freebies. Merit freebies are the freebies that have shown or are certain to show an effect on the country in some or the other way. Non-merit freebies, on the other hand, are the freebies that have no effect, but rather are a liability to the government. An example of a non-merit freebie is free electricity given to farmers. This has to be a merit freebie because this clearly benefits the farmers. No, the reality is the opposite. Farmers were found recklessly using electricity to power tube wells in farms. Now that they didn't care about the electricity bills as someone else was bearing the costs, they kept the bore well switched on for days. This not only wasted water and electricity, but it also hampered one of the most essential resources, that is groundwater, which can take years to replenish. It is seen that many governments collapse due to over expenditure on freebies that have the intention to win public support. The best example of a government collapsing due to bad freebies putting them in debt is Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan government failed because of expenditure on bad freebies, focusing on gaining a vote bank rather than the growth of the country. All this resulted to their debt to GDP ratio to shoot up to 110%. Debt to GDP ratio is the debt compared to the GDP of a state or a country. That is the ratio of the debt versus the GDP of the country or the state. For states, this ratio is called debt to GSDP ratio. The ideal ratio is 20% for states and countries. Sri Lanka obviously has crossed this limit and has defaulted on.
कृपया कुठल्याही देशाचे नाव घेऊ नये. तुम्ही जवळील देशाचा असं म्हणू शकता. कुठल्याही देशाचे किंवा कोणाचे नाव घेऊ नये इथे.
Our neighboring country obviously crossed that limit and defaulted on $51 billion of external debt. The 2019 elections in that country saw leaders promising tax cuts, which can also be considered a freebie here. Tax cuts were brought into action. A country which was already in a trade deficit, that is, when a country spends more than it earns, did not have any chance of surviving huge tax cuts, which would hamper the income of the country. All these freebies accounted for almost 1/3 of the government expenses. This was mainly done to gain votes of the people, and the government did not put much thought into the long-term effects of the policy making it did. The same is done in many states of India, where unimportant freebies are given to people not for the welfare of the state and the people, but rather to win public support and gain the votes to stay in power for the next 5 years. The Reserve Bank of India released a state bankruptcy report which showed how deep the states of India were in debt. It showed how many states were deep in debt and how bad the state economies were. It was seen that Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, and Bihar had a debt to GSDP ratio of 35 to 40%, which is almost double the ideal debt to GSDP ratio. It is also observed that these are the states with the most expenses on subsidies and other freebies. Punjab especially has a debt to GSDP ratio of 53.3%, which is critical. Here, freebies like free electricity and free water are given to farmers, and as we discussed previously, although these might seem beneficial, they are not. These states also have given many loan waive-offs to farmers, which also has hampered the state economies further. From all these examples, we come to know that the central and the state governments have given many freebies to the public to boost their social and financial status. Some of them were also given to get a vote bank, which later strained the economy of the states. But from all this, we learn that freebies can be very beneficial to the people and the country if they reach the right and the needy audience. We need to see what freebies are required, which are not, and how they affect the mindsets of the people. The best example of a fantastic scheme failing just because of the ill mindsets of the people is MG Narega. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act guaranteed the people of rural areas a job, and if they failed to obtain a job, they were compensated with a wage of 100 days. This was a fantastic scheme to support the poor and unemployed workers, but failed for a few reasons. A survey was not conducted before implementing this. This scheme was randomly implemented, which hampered its efficiency. The other reason is that this created a shortage in the agricultural workforce. People thought if they can avail money with less or no work, why should they work? We see that a lack of management in the implementation and the ill mindsets of the people hampered the efficiency of this scheme. With this, we also come to know that giving something for free to people in exchange for no work can negatively affect the psychology of the people, in turn negatively affecting the country as a whole. So we need to regulate the freebies with respect to the mindsets of the people, which doesn't affect the efficiency of the people to give their best outputs. Through all this, we understand that the people of rural areas are either overly dependent on such freebies given by governments or are deprived of the freebies they actually need. There is an unequal distribution of resources and a lack of knowledge about the ground situation. The main problem here is the distribution of very unrequired freebies. Such freebies don't solve a problem, but rather create a new problem. As we saw in the example of MG Narega, it didn't solve the problem of unemployment, but it created a shortage in the agricultural workforce.
आपल्याला दुसऱ्यांदा परत सांगण्यात येत आहे की आपण कोणत्या स्पेसिफिक स्कीम ज्या आत्ता करंटली चालू आहेत त्या किंवा कोणत्याही स्टेट किंवा कोणत्याही देशाचं स्पेसिफिक नाव न घेता स्पेसिफिक एखादं स्कीम नुसतं म्हटलं तर ठीक आहे, पण स्पेसिफिक नावं स्कीमची किंवा हे घेऊ नका, हे शक्यतो टाळावे.
Sorry. The loan waivers are another kind of freebie that does not solve a problem, but rather creates a mindset in the people that it is okay to default on a loan. The government will launch a loan waiver and our loans will be covered by them. Our government would like to propose a few solutions. First, the center allocates a state with a percentage of the state budget to be spent on freebies every financial year. This percentage of the state budget will be devised by the center based on its history of spending on freebies, state distribution of the state, and many more factors. This will do two things. First, it will limit the state spendings, which will prevent the increase in state debts. Second, the leaders will try to spend a limited amount efficiently on the freebies because their job is to satisfy the public and stay in power for the next 5 years. If more funds are required, the state government will have to approve the proposal from central government, and of course, during emergencies, exceptions will be made. Second, an independent cross-verification department is to be made to verify the implementation of all these freebies. The officials are appointed by the government, but the department will be autonomous. This will be checking the implementation of schemes and will also be working as a complaint desk for any concerns regarding the distribution of freebies. This department will also check if the objective of the freebie is completed, that is, the goal is achieved or not. Based on that, it will suggest the government what scheme should be continued and which one should be discontinued. Third, an umbrella organization will be created for the schemes that are being carried out by the central and the state governments right now. This department will conduct surveys and manage the data required for the implementation of the distribution of freebies. Like all the sectors in India have a head department, there is no present head department for freebies that include all the schemes, subsidies, and freebies. This will bring all the schemes together, centralize the processes, increasing the efficiency and the management of all these schemes. This department will also be responsible to act based on the advice of the independent cross-verification department about the implementations and the progress of the implementations of their schemes. Fourth, loan waivers are a huge problem and a need for the country, where many farmers are defaulting and committing suicide under the pressure of the repayment of these loans. RRB, which are regional rural banks, which come under NABARD, National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development, are managed by both the state governments and the central governments. They will provide loans and loan waivers to those who require it. Mostly such loan waivers take place when elections approach to win public support, even if they are not required. The center will recheck if the loan waivers are really required or if they are just political stunts. Then the fifth is an awareness program like Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and Beti Bachao Beti Padhao should be created to spread awareness about the existing schemes, subsidies and freebies the government is providing. This program will make people aware of the processes involved in these schemes and what schemes they can avail of. This will also reduce the malpractices in the implementation, as the people will be aware of the processes and they will report any problems in the system. This awareness program is named as Muft Mein Milkat, which means rewards which are for free, that the people need to be aware of. Suggestions to name our campaigns are welcome from all of you, all of the MPs, and the money to fund all these solutions will be taken from the budget that was saved in the fiscal year 22-23. The government has estimated an amount of around 80,000 crore rupees, which is 2% of the proposed spending, to be unused across ministries and departments. This amount was estimated by the Ministry of Finance in October 22. The centralization of all these processes and of all the subsidies under the umbrella organization will also save the government a lot of money, which could then be used to further bring these solutions to action. Now, it used to be a case where free things mostly had a price tag, which was not seen until the giver requires payback. Leaders gave the people in rural areas free things, but with the intention that they give them the votes they need to stay in power for the next 5 years. But now, we need to change this. We need to give the right freebies to the right audience who will benefit the nation in the future. There is a saying in Marathi, "Fukat te paustik," which means free things are healthy. We, as the government, pledge to do so only with the intention of improvement in the quality of life and growth of the nation. Long gone will be those days when people would run behind free things. Long gone will be those days when people can be manipulated. Long gone will be those days when people would manipulate themselves by taking freebies that don't matter. Thank you. Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद. यानंतर प्रश्नोत्तरांची वेळ सुरू होत आहे. पक्षाच्या नावाची घोषणा केल्यानंतर त्याच पक्षाच्या प्रतिनिधीने आपला प्रश्न विचारावा. जनाधार भारत पक्ष.
Hello, my name is Divya Madhukar Ambelduke. I am from Janadhar Bharat Party. काही लोक गरजू असून सुद्धा ते गव्हर्नमेंट स्कीमपासून अपरिचित असतात, परंतु काही लोक गरजू नसून देखील त्या स्कीम्सचा फायदा उचलतात. त्यासाठी तुम्ही काय कराल?
धन्यवाद. भारत एकता पक्ष.
प्रश्न नाही.
अगत भारत पक्ष.
Are you going to give loan waivers?
भारत आरोहण पक्ष.
प्रश्न नाही.
इक्विटी इंडिया पक्ष.
नो.
धन्यवाद. सर्वांचे प्रश्न विचारून झाले आहेत. माननीय पंतप्रधानांनी उत्तरे द्यावीत अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करतो.
Okay, so the first question was the people who actually need it are not aware of the schemes, and the people who don't need it are taking the people who don't need it are taking the advantage of the schemes. So we have created this awareness campaign and the independent cross verification department. The awareness campaign will basically make the people aware of the schemes that are being given by the government, and they will make them aware of the processes that involve in the availing of those schemes. So the people who don't know it and how to avail it, although they know it, they don't know how to avail it, they will come to know of the processes or their rights as are the schemes they are eligible for and the processes that are involved. And if there is any problem, they can directly report it to the cross verification departments, because they will be aware of the processes that are involved. And the cross verification department will also check if these reach to the needy audience, and if the goals are completed by the schemes or not. And the second question was, are we going to give loan waivers? Yes, we are going to give loan waivers, but only by regional rural banks, which come under National Bank, NABARD, that is, okay. And because we'll give these loans through RRBs only because the state government and the central governments both own it. So mostly loan waivers are given by the state governments, and these are mostly, many a times it is seen that it is to gain the public support. But in this case, the state government and the central government both will check if this is a political stunt or it is really required.
माननीय पंतप्रधानांची उत्तरे देऊन झाली आहेत. आता ज्यांनी प्रश्न विचारले आहेत त्या 5 खासदारांनी कृपया उभे राहावे. ज्यांनी प्रश्न विचारले नाहीत त्यांनीही उभे राहावे. आता माननीय पंतप्रधान आणि खासदार यांना एकत्रित चर्चेसाठी 3 मिनिटाचा अतिरिक्त कालावधी देण्यात येत आहे. कृपया चर्चेस सुरुवात करावी.
Okay, so you said you're gonna give loan waivers. So I did some research and I found that there's about 375 crores of rupees pending from farmers. So you're willing to just let that go?
We state that only the loan waivers will be given only if they are required. We are not saying that we'll give it like after this resolution passes. We are regulating the loan waivers which are to be given.
How do you decide if they're required?
So the state government will know the problem of the state, and central government will check it if that's really the problem or if it's just a political stunt.
How will they check it? How do you know somebody from the state government hasn't influenced somebody in the central government?
Well, state and central government affairs are totally different.
तुम्ही रिमोट एरियाजपर्यंत कसं फ्रीबीज पोचवाल?
Awareness campaigns and this head department will make the processes easier, and they will, by centralizing the processes, the costs will be reduced, and these costs can be reduced to, these costs can be used to make it accessible to the people living in remote areas.
ओके, बट व्हॉट इफ तुम्ही जे आता ही प्रोव्हाइड करताय फ्रीबीज बट त्यांनाच ते उपयोगी नाही झाली तर कसं? म्हणजे त्यांना असं वाटत की हे आमच्या उपयोगी नसेल तर?
There are freebies for everyone in this country, from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the richest. Now everyone has a different need of freebies. Like the poorest of the poor might need freebies okay, I'm not going to say the names, but they might need different kinds of freebies which the middle class or the higher income groups will not require. So of course everyone has a freebie, everyone has a dedicated freebie in this country.
थँक यू.
So you're basing your freebies off of income?
Sorry?
So you're basing your freebies off income?
It is done right now.
किती क्रॉस व्हेरिफिकेशन डिपार्टमेंट्स असणार आहे आणि स्टेट वाईज असणार आहे की सिटी वाईज असणार आहे, म्हणजे कसं असणार आहे ते?
It will be an autonomous department which will be it will be an autonomous department usually conducting the surveys with state-wise, city-wise. Of course, the way surveys are conducted.
ओके.
धन्यवाद. आता सत्ताधारी पक्षाने आपला ठराव सदनासमोर मांडावा.
We, the Indian Republic Party, would like to present these resolutions in the best interest of the nation and the nation's pockets. First, the central government will allocate spending limits, which will be in the percentage of the state budgets on freebies to the state. Second, creation of an umbrella organization under which all freebies, subsidies, and schemes carried out by the government come, which also includes the processes and manages the data related to the schemes. Third, loan waivers are to be carried out by regional rural banks only by state governments on the advice of the central government. Fourth, an independent and autonomous cross-verification department is to be created to check the implementation of distributions of the freebies and if the goal is met or not. And fifth, an awareness program should be created to inform people about the freebies provided by the government, the processes involved, and their eligibility. We request all the political parties to vote a yes for this resolution, as this is the resolution that will bring the real change. We need to be united on this one because we as one can make a huge difference. This is a problem where the only thing that can work is collective action. Jai Hind.
पंतप्रधानांनी मांडलेल्या ठरावावरील मतदानासाठीची वेळ आता सुरू होत आहे. ठराव 14 विरुद्ध 9 मताने मंजूर झाला असे आम्ही जाहीर करतो. कृपया सर्व पक्षांनी, पंतप्रधानांनी किंवा कॅबिनेट मिनिस्टर्सनी ह्याची काळजी घ्यावी की कोणत्याही स्कीमचे, व्यक्तीचे, स्टेटचे किंवा कंट्रीचे नाव न घेता त्याबद्दल तुम्ही बोलू शकता, त्याच्या परिणामांबद्दल तुम्ही बोलू शकता. धन्यवाद. माननीय सभापतींना मी विनंती करतो की त्यांनी सत्ताधारी पक्षाने मांडलेल्या विषयाबद्दल मार्गदर्शन करावे.
मुलांना फ्रीबीज हा विषय लक्षात आला का सगळ्यांच्या? लक्षात आला. हा थोडा गुंतागुंतीचा विषय आहे भारतासारख्या देशामध्ये. लक्षात आलं. एक कल्पना अशी प्लॅनिंग कमिशनसमोर मी स्वतः मांडली होती आणि ती फार इंटरेस्टिंग होती की प्रत्येक माणसाला आजार जसा वेगवेगळा असतो त्याला औषध एक असतं का? असत नाही. त्यामुळे सबसिडी देताना सगळ्यांना समान पद्धतीने देता कामा नये. बरोबर? कुणाला आरोग्याच्या सबसिडीची गरज आहे, कुणाला फूडच्या सबसिडीची गरज आहे. बरोबर? असं आपल्याला बास्केट त्याला म्हणतात, आंतरराष्ट्रीय पातळीवर त्याला म्हणतात बास्केट ऑफ सबसिडीज. अशी जर आपण देऊ शकलो तर भारताचे पैसे फार वाचायला मदत होईल. आणि जो मुख्य प्रश्न विचारला होता की खरोखर गरजू माणसाला मिळेल का सबसिडी, बरोबर आहे, तो प्रश्न पण सुटेल. आत्ता काय होतं आहे की सपोज आपण असं म्हटलो की अपंगांना सायकल असते, बरोबर आहे, आणि ज्यांना गरज नाही किंवा ज्यांना आवश्यकता नाही अशा लोकांना ही सायकल मिळता कामा नये. असं आपण एक उदाहरण घेतलं, बरोबर. तो जो अपंग मुलगा आहे ज्याला त्याची गरज आहे त्या प्रत्येकालाही सायकल मिळाली पाहिजे. पण नुसतं कुटुंबांची यादी केली आणि आपण सायकल वाटत बसलो तर मग भारतात किती सायकली जातील? 25, 30, 40 कोटी पण लोक घेऊन टाकतील, बरोबर आहे, की ज्यांना गरजेचं नाही आहे. हा उद्देश आहे मुख्य की लोकशाहीमधलं हे कल्पना तुमच्या लक्षात यावी, बरोबर. आणि आता तुम्हाला या वयामध्ये हे समजेल की शासन जेव्हा एखादा निर्णय घेतं त्याचा काय परिणाम होतो, बरोबर ना. म्हणजे जर शाळेत एक अपंग मुलगा असेल आणि त्याला बिचारायला सायकल ती उपयोगाला येत नसेल आणि अपंग नसलेल्या तिघांनी सायकल घेऊन ठेवली सबसिडीची आणि ती मात्र ह्यांना दिली नाही तर त्याचा काही उपयोग नाही. हा मुद्दा लक्षात आला. तिसरा महत्त्वाचा मुद्दा मी तुम्हाला सांगणार आहे की असं करत असताना खरं सगळ्या पक्षांना बोलायची संधी दिली होती तर पंतप्रधानांना प्रश्न विचारण्याची संधी तुम्ही घालवली असं मला असं वाटतं. जेव्हा संधी मिळते ना तेव्हा प्रश्न विचारता आले पाहिजे आणि विचारण्यासारख्या बऱ्याच गोष्टी होत्या. आता समजा त्यांनी काय सांगितलं की क्रॉस व्हेरिफिकेशन आम्ही डिपार्टमेंट स्थापन करू, बरोबर आहे. आता योजना कधी सुरू होईल, किती दिवसांनी सुरू होणार होती, ठराव झाल्यावर किती दिवसांनी सुरू होणं अपेक्षित आहे? 5 झालं की किती दिवसानंतर? 1 वर्ष लागेल, 2 वर्ष लागतील, बरोबर. तर डिपार्टमेंट हे भारतामध्ये म्हणजे गडचिरोलीसारख्या नक्षल भागापासून आसामपर्यंत, त्रिपुरापर्यंत जिल्हा पातळीवर डिपार्टमेंट स्थापन व्हायला किमान 3 वर्ष लागतील. लक्षात आलं? हा आपला देश एवढा विस्तीर्ण आहे हे तुम्हाला लक्षात येईल. म्हणजे जेव्हा आपण मतदान घेतो, म्हणजे तुम्हाला माहिती म्हणून मी सांगतो की हिमाचल प्रदेशला मी ऑब्झर्वर होतो इलेक्शनचा. तर माझे 3 मतपेट्या या पहिल्यांदा आम्ही जीपने नेल्या, मग एका बोटीमध्ये ठेवल्या, मग बोट 1.5 तास चालली, मग डोंगरावर लोक चालायला सुरुवात झाली. 11 तासानंतर ते 9 किलोमीटरचं डोंगर चढून वर पोहोचले की जिथे मोबाईलची रेंज नाही आहे. तिथून त्यांनी धूर केला आणि मग आम्हाला कळालं की मतपेट्या तिथे पोहोचल्या आहेत. बरोबर आहे. असा आपला देश आहे. लक्षात आलं. त्यामुळे आपण जेव्हा बोलतो त्यावेळी ते 1 मिनिटात इम्प्लिमेंट होईल असं होत नाही आपल्या देशामध्ये. लक्षात आलं ना. म्हणजे आपण करोनामध्ये पण बघितलं की हजारो लोकांना जाताना येताना त्रास झाला. अनेक लोक रस्त्यात मेले. बरोबर आहे. हे का झालं? कारण देशच एवढा मोठा विस्तीर्ण आहे, त्याच्यात अनेक समस्या आहे. तर हे करत असताना जेव्हा फ्रीबीजची आपण चर्चा करतो त्यावेळी एक मुद्दा तो असं मांडला की हे मुख्यतः रुरल भागासाठी आहे. तो जर फिगर बघितल्या, अन्नधान्य सबसिडी जर तुम्ही बघितली तर सगळ्यात जास्त सबसिडी कुठे जात असेल? शहरी भागात की ग्रामीण भागात? ग्रामीणमध्ये जात नाही, शहरी भागात जाते. लक्षात आलं. हां, म्हणजे 2.5 कोटी म्हणजे साधारण 12 कोटी BPLची कार्ड आहे भारतामध्ये आणि त्याच्यातली मेजॉरिटी कार्ड्स कुठे आहेत? शहरी भागातल्या गरीब भागामध्ये आहेत. पुण्याचं उदाहरण घेतलं तर समजा 2.5 कोटी लोकसंख्या असेल तर 1.5 ते 2.25 कोटी कुठे आहे? शहरामध्ये आहे. आणि त्यातले बहुतेक लोक जे झोपडपट्ट्यांमध्ये राहतात. त्यामुळे हे स्टेटमेंट एवढं असं योग्य नाही की हे रुरल विरुद्ध अर्बन नाही आहे, हे पुअर विरुद्ध नॉन पुअर असं आहे. लक्षात आलं. एवढ्या माझ्या कॉमेंट्स आहेत. थँक्यू.